4 years ago, Tom Cruise delivered the absolute best quote in action movie history. Tom Cruise is the most bankable action star of this century, with franchises like Mission Impossible still under his belt. However, one of his most iconic films from the 80s returned to the silver screen after 36 years, and that too with a sequel that smashed every record of the original, Top Gun: Maverick. Top Gun: Maverick isn't all fighter jets and G-force. Like its predecessor, Top Gun: Maverick is a movie that takes viewers into the heart of the Navy, particularly the most elite fighter jet pilots who carry out high-octane missions for the nation. After nearly losing his position, Pete is called back to the school to train a new cohort of pilots for a near-suicidal mission, and the first thing he does is throw out the book. For a scientifically impossible mission, Maverick needs these pilots to trust their inner flying instincts over what they have been told. And while the mission, which is to destroy unauthorized nuclear material that lies in the middle of a treacherous valley, is important, the tension isn't really about whether it will succeed. It's about how Maverick's philosophy can guide Rooster, Hangman, Bob, Phoenix, Payback, and the others to push their limits and achieve new heights. Maverick was a man who refused to be replaced, even as time, bureaucracy, and new generations threatened to replace the old guard. Where the world expects him to strategize in conference rooms and bark orders, he prefers to actually fly and teach the new generation how to rely on their instincts to fly, rather than just the numbers and analytics. Tom Cruise shines here in the movie as an outlier. This was why the line "don't think, just do" is so important, because that's the beating heart of the action genre. Be it John McClane or Indiana Jones, these action heroes are the greatest of all time because they moved. Whether it was running to escape enemies or going back to save important people or creatures, action is defined by movement. None of these characters won because they outthought their enemies. They were heroes because they acted at a critical moment instead of getting stuck in an endless loop of deliberation. Self-doubt and overthinking were keeping Rooster stuck when he was in the air, unable to carry out the tasks that he was being trained for. It was at this moment that Maverick asked Rooster to stop thinking so much and just act in a way that his body told him to. It's not a call to be reckless, but to trust himself beyond calculations and use the muscle that made him pursue flying fighter jets in the first place. Top Gun: Maverick remains the gold standard in action films. The fact that Top Gun: Maverick is still finding new audiences 4 years after its release and charting on Pluto TV's top 10 even today means that it did something right. It is a rare action film that manages to depict beautifully choreographed aerial action scenes while also appealing to the audience's inner need for movement. Don't think, just do works as almost cultural commentary on the state of the world, as it gets increasingly data-driven and deliberation-heavy. Analysis paralysis is real, and instilling that in Rooster was one of the more astute plot points in the movie. This is what makes a film about flying fighter jets actually relatable for the viewer. Apart from vicariously living a life that most audiences won't get to do, Top Gun: Maverick acknowledges the struggle of the viewer and turns it into an empowering moment. Rooster also doesn't immediately become great upon hearing Maverick's line, either. It's a slow process for him, but Maverick's words are what push him in the right direction. All the analysis only led him to fly with fear, which was the one thing that Pete wanted to erase from the minds of the pilots he was training. Flying fearlessly was the only way they could succeed in the mission, and this quote was a reminder that sometimes the bravest and truest thing to do is to simply do the thing. Here's where Top Gun: Maverick becomes a defining action entry, because it goes way past the spectacle of it all, and there is plenty of it, and becomes a movie that is also genuinely moving. Top Gun's real success came from awe-inspiring fighter jet planes, as well as the poignancy of the storyline as a whole. Thankfully, the formula was used for the sequel, too, and Maverick became, once more, a flag-bearer of human courage. Action movies aren't about the absence of fear, but the decision to act despite having it. That is what makes the action genre so exciting, as these heroes and heroines find it within them to do difficult, often life-threatening things. Maverick almost touched Mach 10 before incinerating his plane, but he made it out alive. He lost his best friend, but he taught his son, Rooster, to overcome his inner critic and discard fear to become the very best. "Don't think, just do" is a deceptively simple line, but it is the embodiment of everything that Top Gun: Maverick was about. Adding the "just do" command to a movie that is almost entirely practical effects in real planes amped up the tension and adrenaline to another level, too. It was like a switch that turned the action and drama all the way up, and did it with just 4 words from the world's greatest action star of all time.